back to my channel. Today, I'm so glad that you've joined me because I am actually going to be talking about how I got pregnant the first time with our little boy Easton, and also I'm going to go through our birth story. At least it's going to be the shortcut version because that's over 36 hours of stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. While I'm at it, I figured I would go ahead and fold some laundry because I have a huge basket here that I have to get done. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So first of all, I was in nursing school at the time. We had like a little summer break because we would go with the regular school schedule. And so we had a little summer break, and I actually found out I was pregnant on the 4th of July. My husband and I had been married a year as of May of that year. And this definitely wasn't something that was in the plan. It wasn't something that we'd necessarily talked about. We were going to wait until he got out of the military and we moved back up to Virginia, which would have been 2018 whenever we moved. So it definitely wasn't on the agenda for any time soon. But a few weeks before I got my positive pregnancy test, my father-in-law calls, and he is, obviously asking how we're doing and stuff like that. He asked if we were pregnant, and we said no. We would have told you if we were. Like, you'd be one of the first to know for sure. So anyway, a few weeks go by, and it's the 4th of July.
You need to
And I wake up that morning. We're getting ready to go to the beach. We're going to spend the day on the beach. And I go to the bathroom and I take a pregnancy test, just kind of out of the blue. I wasn't having any symptoms or anything like that. I had actually been drinking the night before. But I went ahead and I just took one just because I had a little feeling, a little inkling, I guess. And I put it underneath the sink because I didn't want my husband, Devin, to know that I was taking it. I didn't want him to either get his hopes up or worry about a situation that, I didn't even know for sure yet. So I left it underneath the sink, went ahead, got ready to go to the beach and stuff. And then I go out the door, getting ready to get in the car. And I told my husband, oh, I forgot something, because I truly did forget it underneath the sink, which isn't surprising if you know me. I'm a very forgetful person. So I run back inside, I get it out from under the sink, and it says yes. It was one of those yes or no ones from First Response. My heart went nuts. I mean, it was beating out of my chest. I was like, there is no way. There's no way. And then I was like, well, obviously there's a way. So I go to the front door and I tell my husband, I don't think that we should go. Like, you need to come in here right now. And he was in shock, as most men are, most women too. And we went to the beach, and while we were at the beach, we were talking about it, and I was like, I've been a lot more fatigued, and, my chest kind of hurts and stuff like that. And so I guess it just kind of clicked with him, like, this is real life. Like, this is legit. On the way home, we stopped at Walmart, and we got a clear blue digital test. And we go home, and we take it, and that one pops up as pregnant as well. So we were both still really in shock, but excited. And my parents were getting ready to come down in a few weeks. And I was like, okay, so I want to surprise them when they're here. But the more that I sat on the couch and thought about it, the more anxious I became and stuff. Like, how could I keep this secret? how could I keep this secret from my mom? Because like we talk about everything. So I ended up calling, and they were having a 4th of July party at their house. So 2 of my aunts and their families were there. My sister and her entire family was there. So it was really fun because they put me on speakerphone, and they didn't know. They had no clue. And I told them, and Mom was like, "Are you kidding me?" And she said that Dad was just smiling from ear to ear. So it was just super sweet, a really special moment. And just thinking about it now, like, I can't stop smiling. It's just ear to ear kind of smile. So moving on, we tell Devin's parents as well, and they're really excited. And his dad's like, "I told you." And this is their first grandchild. So it was really special for them too. We end up going that following week, and we get the blood test done and stuff like that. Everything's great. The first time that we have our ultrasound, everything's great. So finally we get to find out the gender of the baby, and the ultrasound tech and I, we kind of knew what we were looking at a little bit, and I had looked on YouTube at a lot of videos. And so she pauses on the screen and she's like, "Do you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then Devin's just kind of, because of course he doesn't know what he's looking at. And it was kind of special because I actually got to tell him it's a boy. So fast forward, probably around 36 weeks, whenever they start checking you weekly, I would go in, and every time I came out, I was just really disappointed, kind of discouraged really, because I was swelling like crazy. I was so uncomfortable. I mean, obviously, like any kind of pregnancy, it was difficult with those last few weeks. I wasn't progressing at all. I hadn't dilated or anything, and we delivered on a military base, and with them, their protocol is kind of, you get to 41 weeks and then they'll induce you. So of course I had to go all the way to 41 weeks. At that point, I was just like, whatever, it is what it is. So we get to 41 weeks. I go in and they induce me. And I go in on a Thursday, which was March 16th. My due date had been March 10th. So I go in on March 16th at around like 3 o'clock, I believe it was. And they get me all set up and stuff. They start monitoring the baby. Then they put in what they call a Foley balloon. Basically, it's a tube with a place at the end where they can insert fluid, and the ball or the balloon will sit on your cervix like this and kind of like put pressure and stuff on it so that they'll thin and dilate. And then once you get to, I think it was 4 or 5 centimeters, it'll either fall out or they can give it a small tug and it'll come out. So I remember in the middle of the night, she gave it a small tug and it did come out. So I was dilated, I want to say 2 or 4. And we went on to start the Pitocin and everything. And I was having contractions on the monitor, but I wasn't feeling them, thankfully. I know that it was a little bit of discomfort, but it was never really painful. And so I got to a 5, and I kind of stayed at a 5 for several hours. So they were like, "We're going to go ahead and break your water." So they came in, they broke my water, and they said that I had enough water for 3 babies. They knew that that was going to increase my contractions, and I was probably going to become very uncomfortable, and they were going to get a lot more intense on top of my water being broken and the Pitocin. They had the Pitocin turned up as high as it would go. I think it was like 22 mics or something like that. So they had all of that and they were like, let's go ahead and do the epidural. So they did that, which wasn't nearly as bad as what I thought. Really nothing eventful that I can share. It was just plain and simple. With the Pitocin being turned up so high and everything, my oxygen levels started dropping. The baby's heart rate started dropping. We were definitely not progressing any further. They checked me and I was a 6, and then like an hour later they checked me again and I went back down to a 5. So finally the doctor came in and talked with me and my husband and said that it was probably a good idea to consider a C-section. And after we discussed it, we decided that that was a good idea for me, the baby, and our health, as well as I was just exhausted. There was no, I'm forgetting about my laundry here. So after that, we go down for our C-section. Everything goes really well, which is great. But they take my husband and my son out of the room and they take him into our recovery room, postpartum room, whatever. It's not a very big hospital, so it's pretty much all the same thing. Take me in there, or they take my son in there and my husband, and it was at 9:40 at night. So visiting hours were almost over, and they went ahead and let all of our family see him. Everyone got to hold him and stuff, which was kind of unfortunate because I didn't get to see their reactions, especially with my dad, because he had cancer previously, and we weren't even sure that he was ever going to make it to see my baby be born. So I'm sad that I missed that, him holding him for the first time. I end up staying in the hospital until Monday. Went in on Thursday, had the baby on Friday, had to stay until Monday because I developed a fever and my heart rate kept going up really high. They were thinking that I had a blood clot. So they did an echocardiogram of my heart because of my heart rate. They couldn't seem to get it under control. They did the echocardiogram. They did an ultrasound of my calves to check for blood clots. They did an ultrasound of my uterus to see if, it was shrinking, like what was going on. Finally, they decided that it was actually an infection, and I had to have 3 IV antibiotics for that infection. Then I couldn't leave the hospital until I was 24 hours fever-free. So that was definitely one of the harder parts for me because recovery and everything was very difficult. Being hooked up to all those monitors because I had on the heart monitor, I had on an O2 monitor, plus I was attached to an IV pole for so long. That was kind of the hardest part of my recovery. Not to mention, our little Easton had a tongue tie, so he was not able to breastfeed, and it just started to take a toll on me mentally, emotionally, on top of all the postpartum hormones anyway. My husband and I decided that it was probably just what was best for us was for him to go ahead and take a bottle. Very lucky because my husband was able to help a lot with Easton and getting him changed and like changing his diaper and whatnot and feeding him, getting him out of the bassinet so that I would be able to feed him or hold him or something like that. Because on top of that, everything that was going on, I was on pain medication, which I'm not used to taking at all. So it had me pretty out of it. And then they also gave me a Benadryl for the itching of the anesthesia. So I was basically out of it the entire time. Finally, I told them to just stop, that I didn't want any more of the Benadryl. I didn't want any more of the Percocet. and to just give me ibuprofen and I'll be fine. So that's what I did, and whenever I came home, I continued to just do ibuprofen. And that is my #1 tip for anyone that has a C-section, is that pain medication is just going to make you loopy, make you tired. So maybe that's a whole different video. So then we were able to bring him home. Our big boy, Easton Wesley, was born March 17th at 9:40 p.m. He was 8 pounds, 8 ounces, and 20 inches long. And he had red hair, this cute little butt chin. He was absolutely adorable. I know, I see that, baby. All right, guys, that's it for now. I do plan to do 2 more of these videos for my middle son and my youngest. And I would love it if you would give it a big thumbs up if you want to see those, and subscribe to my channel. I've got lots of mommy cleaning and cooking videos that are coming your way. So just stay tuned. Thank you, guys. Bye.